Lurkins, and here's tonight's top stories. The face of the Chuck E. Cheese's restaurants is Chuck E. Cheese himself, whose full name is actually Charles Entertainment Cheeses. He's been around since the company was founded in 1977, and you could probably consider him in some ways an American entertainment icon. When you visit Chuck E. Cheese's, you're bound to see Chuck walking around, interacting with everyone in the restaurant. Now, next to the animatronics, meeting Chuck E. Cheese has become one of the staples of visiting the restaurants. Now, the Chuck E. Cheese restaurants themselves have a long history, and with the natural evolution of time, the Chuck E. Cheese character has gone through some changes. Specifically in this video, we'll be looking at the character's changes through the mascot walk-around character, as well as the looks used for marketing purposes. So today, we're gonna be talking about the evolution of the Chuck E. Cheese character. We now turn it over to the hopeless and familyless reporter, Lurch Lurkins, who has more on this.
Bikini Bottom's second best reporter, Lurch Lurkins!
Hey, Lurch, what's new in Bottom Feederville?
I'm looking for a new job.
You want to leave breaking news? Is this because of someone you work with?
Yeah.
I know who it is. Our intern. You're fired, Birch. So, I have a hunch on who this walk-around characters could be.
Really?
I don't think we've seen this walk-around characters and my ex-wife in the same room. Ha 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 ha. Oh, I miss her.
Well, thanks, Birch. Stop. I will try it. Now.
The development stages. So we'll start right at the beginning in about 1974. During the development of the restaurant, its founder, Nolan Bushnell, also co-founder of Atari, was at the IAAPA Expo, which is the International Association of Amusement Parks and Attractions Expo. There he saw what he thought was a generic coyote costume. He ordered it and began designing the restaurant around this costume, calling it Coyote Pizza. Well, Bushnell received the mascot character and then realized it had a pink tail and was in fact a rat. You can see how the original rat costume Bushnell received had a lot of fur and did in fact look like a coyote. So after this discovery, the restaurant was then gonna be called Rick Rat's Pizza, featuring Ricky Rat, which you could say was a nod from Bushnell to Disney's Mickey Mouse. Ricky Rat, Mickey Mouse, both names have the same flow, don't you think? While the costume was in Bushnell's possession during the development stages of the restaurant, Rick Rat became the unofficial mascot of Atari in the mid-70s. Well, in the end the Ricky Rat name didn't end up actually panning out because it was deemed to not be kid-friendly, but we all know what name they ended up going with, and here Bushnell describes why they chose the Chuck E. Cheese name. And it's true. Right now try saying Chuck E. Cheese without smiling. See? When you say cheese it forces a smile, which is also why we say cheese when we take pictures. Cheese. The obnoxious noise even interrupted my beauty sleep last night. Luckily, you definitely can't tell because I'm wearing enough makeup. Zoom out. Zoom out. Can we get a touch up here?
We'll be right back after this short message. It's time for Drawing Conclusions with Doodle Bob.
Yeah. Got it. Thanks. Thanks for that, Doodle Bob.
This has been Drawing Conclusions with Doodle Bob.
The 1980s. When the Chuck E. Cheese's Pizza Time Theater restaurant first opened, Harold Goldbranson is the man responsible for making and designing the Chuck E. Cheese mascot. It was based on the original costume Bushnell purchased from the IAAPA Expo and still had that long snout and those really large teeth. It looked like a rat, which you could say wasn't the most inviting look. So to soften up the rat's appearance they gave him a red derby hat, a yellow undershirt, a paisley vest, and to top it all off, a bow tie. This look was used from the opening of the first Pizza Time Theater location in 1977 until around 1980. Now in the early 80s the company began to grow and Pizza Time Theater was having trouble maintaining the consistency of Chuck's costume design due to material availability. So in May of 1981 Chuck was given a new yellow and red diamond vest which was silkscreen printed to ensure every vest would be the exact same. Now this commercial also features the articulated Chuck E. Cheese walk-around character that was able to blink his eyes and move his mouth. Through our research it appears that the articulated Chuck E. Cheese character was only used for promotional commercials through the 1980s and didn't regularly appear in the restaurants. Now sometime in the early 80s, the Chuck walk-around character and the restaurant seem to have received new face features including red rosy checks and a red lower lip. Through the 80s this seemed to have become the standard face look seen in the restaurants. But I gotta say it looks a little cheap compared to the old design. Sometime between 1983 to 1984 Chuck was given a plain red vest which can be seen here in this commercial from 1984. Now comparing the articulated character to the normal mascot in the restaurants, Chuck's commercial snout had much softer features and was less narrow than the character in the resultants. This probably had something to do with the mechanism needed to make the mouth move. It seems that commercial Chuck is also the only time he appears with whiskers, but there at the restaurant in 1986 you can see just how long and pointy Chuck's snout really was. The mid-80s is also the time when Pizza Time Theater went bankrupt and was purchased by Showbiz Pizza Place. Although they remained independent restaurants for the first few years there was some crossover between Chuck E. Cheese characters and the Showbiz Pizza Place characters. During this time Chuck continued to sport the red vest and derby hat into the early 90s when the company started the merge and brand all restaurants as Chuck E. Cheese's. With his thoughts on line 2.
Purge phone, line 2.
Oh, of course.
Purge phone, line 1.
Mr. Werbenja Jermaine Jensen, can you hear me?
Yeah, I spend most of my time inside a box, so believe me when I tell you, the television writers are just not thinking outside the box. I mean, they have box romances, boxumentaries, even boxing has been taken over by boxes. It's disgusting, man.
So, you're saying people don't want to watch content exclusively about boxa? Okay, kind of a hot take but whatever you say.
Perch, believe me.
The 1990s. Around 1990, Chuck ditched the red vest and debuted his tuxedo look that included gold lapels and a red bow tie. They still kept the red derby hat which now matched the red bow tie to go along with Chuck's new classy look. Now it seems like this maybe could have been done as a response to better resemble Mickey Mouse. He also wears a tuxedo and bow tie and has the same color palette of red, yellow, or gold, and black used for Tuxedo Chuck. This may have just been a coincidence or maybe it wasn't. Tuxedo Chuck was only used for a couple years and throughout this time, the company realized that the character needed to be more hip. They placed him in a yellow shirt but still kept the red derby hat which came across as a really odd merge of two looks. It's also safe to say that in the 90s, Chuck's face received a redesign and upgrade giving the character much softer features which you can see especially in his checks. He was given a wider check structure and smile, a softer less pointy snout with elongated eyes and smaller ears. This new look actually better resembled the articulated animatronic character seen in the commercials from the 80s. Between 1994 to 1995 Chuck E. Cheese got a complete overhaul and Cool Chuck was the next version to appear in the 90s. The most notable differences of Cool Chuck was the company's decision to ditch the red derby hat in exchange for a baseball cap, and the loss of the character's tail. There were various colors of hats and styles of shirts used but Cool Chuck, who was now seen on the company's logo, hung around for advertising purposes from 1994 until 1997. Now it's time to check in on what's trending the restaurants. It's Philadelphia looks of the week. Let's start with Helen Henny's football cheerleads. Beautiful. And check out Chucky's Avenger clothes. He's looking good and green. How about we get up close and personal with Jasper T. Jowls? Well, there goes. Then there Pasquale's brand new mustache. How did he grow it? And you more important who am I, someday?
Weenie Hut, Weenie Hut, Weenie Hut. Now with more weenies.
The Avenger era. Probably one of the most iconic changes made to Chuck E. Cheese was the look that was referred to as Avenger Chuck. Now, this look debuted in 1997 and the physicality of the character was the same as Cool Chuck. but this is where he received the purple and green hat, purple shirt with the yellow C, and the green shorts. You can tell that the company was really trying to make him appear a lot cooler and relatable to the kids of the 90s with the inclusion of the backwards snapback and the skater gloves. This look appeared in all the advertising beginning in 1997, but this time it was in the form of animation. It also appears that from the late 90s and on, the mascot characters were phased out of commercials, with animation being the medium of choice for the character. Avenger Chuck was solely used for marketing purposes, while Cool Chuck was still seen as the walk-around character in the restaurants from the mid-90s until around 2001. Cool Chuck also remained in the company's logo until 2004, when Avenger Chuck with the thumbs up took over. Avenger Chuck began making his appearances in the restaurant around 2001, and by 2004 this new look was completely rolled out in all the restaurants as walk-around characters. Now, although the company stopped using mascot characters in the commercials, there was one ad from them around 2008 that included the Avenger walk-around Chuck E. Cheese. It also appears that in the mid to late 2000s the company also tried implementing a toothless Chuck. Not too sure how many were produced or the magnitude of this change, but it sure seems like it was helping the company decide the direction they wanted to take the character in next. Could this squabble have anything to do with restaurants adding patties to their menus? All we can say for sure is food fight. Hey, who threw that? I am not going to keep going until someone fesses up. Go to commercial.
We'll be right back after this short message. Weenie Hut, now with more weenies.
Present-day rock. Beginning in 2012, Sec Entertainment debuted the current look of Chuck E. Cheese as a response to the company's ongoing dip in sales. This more contemporary rock star look was probably the most drastic change in Chuck's appearance ever. He pretty much looks like a completely different character. He received much larger ears. His eyes are now green and are spread out much further across his head. His nose is larger, the cheeks are much wider, and his teeth became smaller. He was also given a slimmer body frame along with jeans, a similar shirt to what Avenger Chuck wore, and he lost his hat. Honestly, the face proportions resembles a lot of the proportions of Mickey Mouse, which I'm sure had some impact on this design. With the implemented new design being such a drastic change, there was a mixed response. Some restaurants even refused to use the updated Rockstar walk-around character, saying their Avenger walk-around characters are still in good shape, able to be used. Another notable change in Chuck E. Cheese's appearance is his scale. In the commercials from the 90s, the animated Chuck was the same height as the kids, but with the introduction of Rocker Chuck, his scale was brought down to the size of an actual rat. Over the course of 40 years, it's pretty fascinating to see the character's evolution going from a pointy-nosed rat to this friendlier Mickey Mouse type version. So what's your favorite version of Chuck over the years? And how do you feel about the complete redesign he received in 2012? Do you think he looks a lot more like Mickey Mouse? Leave a comment down below and start a conversation. Thanks so much for watching. Click Khaled MS Animation Videos icon on the screen to subscribe to this channel, and check out some of these other videos which we're sure you'll like. I'm Perch Perkins from everyone here at Philadelphia Inquirer. That's all the news that's fit to float. Good night. Oh, for Neptune's sake.